Well, dear organizers, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to participate in this conference. And today we are going to be talking about semantic and structural challenges of translating modern English agro-engineering terminology into Ukrainian. The study analyzes the semantic and structural peculiarities of translating modern English agro-engineering terminology. The investigation field is relevant due to the presence of modern agro-engineering terminology in the period of its formation and optimization, which is caused by the transition from previously used Russian language samples and standards in both formation and translation of terms. Besides, the lack of a well-grounded structural semantic analysis of terms in the agro-engineering field makes the process of terminology standardization and unification quite difficult, which consequently complicates the translation. The objective is to reveal some difficulties in translating the English language agro-engineering terms into Ukrainian. The tasks are to classify English agro-engineering terms according to their structural characteristics, to study the influence of synonymy and homonymy on the translation process, to examine principal techniques of translating English agro-engineering terms into Ukrainian, and to investigate into various techniques for translating multi-component agro-engineering terms into Ukrainian. According to structural characteristics, English agro-engineering terms are divided into simple, derived, compound, and multi-component. Simple terms can be easily used as a basis for forming new terminological units. They have one component and don't cause any difficulties in translation. Derived terms can be created by suffixes and prefixes. Compound terms consist of two words linked together, and multi-component terms are predominant and amount to 38%. They are created on the basis of the following 5 models. Well, multi-component 3-word terms. There are 5 formation models in this group. Multi-component 4-word terms, there are 7 formation models in this group. You can see the examples. And multi-component 5-word terms, there are 5 formation groups. As can be seen, multi-componentity of terms is achieved by specifying the meaning of the head word, which is expressed by a noun, and mainly takes the final position in the phrase. In the target language, the number of components doesn't coincide with the source one. This fact is determined by grammatical differences between languages. This group of English agro-engineering terms mostly causes problems due to their complicated structure. The formation of such terms is carried out through a step-by-step specification of the head word of the source term with a number of attributes. So a multi-component term consists of a head word and a number of attributes which can specify and modify the meaning. The algorithm for translating English agro-engineering multi-component terms should be as follows. In non-prepositional attributive word groups, we should start translating from the head word that takes the final position in the phrase and direct further translation from the head word to the left. The number of components in the source term and in the target term may not coincide. Students should remember that in most cases, the final component in an English terminological phrase becomes the first one in Ukrainian translation. This inconsistency is determined by the following reasons: differences in grammatical systems of the source and target languages, and the translator's intention to find semantic correspondences. A translator has to decide what constituents of the entry term in the source language could be sacrificed and how some of them could be compensated by applying the linguistic means of the target language, in order to create the same degree of informativity at a particular level for target readers. Extensive application of many synonyms is especially typical of dynamically developing terminology when the process of terminology categorization is already finished, but the search for a preferred term is still in progress. The following means of synonym formation in English agro-engineering terminology are revealed. Usage of synonymous attribute components, usage of divergences from American English and British English, parallel functioning of an obsolete term and a common one, and alternation of nuclear components. Cross-industry homonymy is a linguistic phenomenon when a term from one knowledge area enters the terminology of another area and changes its meaning. You can see the example when the term mean has the meaning, one meaning in construction terminology, and quite different meaning in agro-engineering. The results of the conducted analysis suggest that a translator should apply a variety of translation techniques: equivalence, literal translation, descriptive technique, analog translation, lexical and grammatical transformations, transliteration. Speaking about translation peculiarities, we should mention the cases where the same adjective and terminological phrases can be translated in different ways. For example, the word green can be translated differently in those examples. A variety of translation techniques is explained by complicated structural characteristics of the analyzed terms. We can conclude that translation difficulties are closely related to lingual characteristics of terms. A great variety of structural models in English agro-engineering terminology demonstrates contemporary trends in term formation and reflects other tendencies in multilingual interaction of various language communities. Multi-component terms play a major role in forming English agro-engineering terminology. Many techniques are applied to translating English agro-engineering terms into Ukrainian, including equivalence, analog, descriptive techniques, transliteration, grammatical and lexical transformations. It can be stated that multi-component terms play a major role in forming English agro-engineering terminology. They may cause problems due to their length and non-prepositional bonds. The most successful algorithm for translating them is to start from the head word to the left. The results of the research may be used for training students of technical specialties learning ESP in the fields of agro-engineering industry, as well as for students of translation departments. Presented findings might also have some implications for translators and experts in the corresponding field of knowledge. Thank you for your attention.